Hey, March the 7th, 2022. I am Frank Ferragini, aka Frankie Flowers. For those on here for the first time, a little bit about me. I am a four-time best-selling garden author. It's just one of the books that's there. I am a garden expert. You can see me Monday through Friday on Breakfast Television City TV, where I'm wild about weather. Yes, I do tell you the weather, and as well, I'm passionate about plants. Actually, tomorrow on BT, I'll be doing a segment on those plants that make you relax. And to be truthful, all plants, if they're easy to care for, should make you relax and feel better overall. My family has two garden centers, one in Bradford, one in Barrie, called Bradford Greenhouses Garden Gallery. We are also greenhouse growers. With that, we grow annuals, and right now the greenhouse is quite busy. So we grow some perennials, mostly annuals, and then herb and vegetable plants as well. We grow things like poinsettias for Christmas, fall mums as well. But right now we're in full production. The greenhouse right now is very, very busy. I come here each and every week to answer your questions, to find out what's going on in your life, to find out what's going on in your garden, to say hello as well. A lot of people here are saying, hey, Frankie, I hope you had a great birthday. Yes, indeed. If you didn't know, I turned 50 on Friday. I got to give a shout out as well to the Niagara River Trading Company. Niagara River Trading Company, located in Niagara Falls, sent me this shirt, Flower Power, established in 1972. That's me. They also printed those shirts that we had on the set and on the show on that day. I had a fantastic Friday, which is my birthday. I did dinner with my family and my kids on Friday night. And then last night, I had a wonderful dinner just with a few cousins. It was nice and small. And my good friend, Brad. Brad is my honorary family member as well. We got a good morning out there from Hamilton this morning, from Hamilton Mountain. We also have another good birthday shout out too with Kathy Woods. It's saying a happy 50th as well. Mary Stewart saying good morning from sunny Florida. Indeed. A lot of people doing some traveling out there, which is good to see that things are somewhat getting back to normal. Woodham, Ontario, that's Debbie. Good morning to you as well. We have also another little shout out here from sunny Cabral or Carabel, Flora. Abigail, like that as well. Stephanie's giving me a happy 50th as well out there as well. And then we also have Jessica, yay, we're excited for just a good morning from Baxter. Hey, let's talk about that weather, guys. That weather today in Southern Ontario. You may be watching us from Florida, but today in Ontario, temperatures in the mid-teens, sunshine temperatures were warming yesterday. We're starting to see the snow that's melting outdoors. With that, we're going to see some winds today as well. But today is a good day. If you have a chance today, and probably there's a part of you that wants to get outdoors, and I always encourage you to get outdoors because there's nothing better than a walk on a day like today. Science has actually shown that. But also what's good on a day like today is to go inspect your garden. I know for a fact, I was joking about my little bunnies, my bunnies that I had in the backyard. I have so many bunnies around this property right now that I know I will have, even though I try to prevent as much, I'm going to have some damage out there from some of the bunnies. So today is a good idea to go around, inspect your garden, your property, see what damage is there. If you see any broken branches or anything that's snapped, take a pair of pruners and prune those off. That will actually create some nice clean cuts and clean up things. You can get an early look if there's any debris sitting around that you can clean up. And then also you can start to make a list on what you want to do with your garden. We are now in the month of March, so we're getting closer where you can actually, and if you wish, you can do your tomatoes and peppers this weekend. There's no problem for that whatsoever. And we can start really planning out that garden. This is the time so that when we go into the garden center in spring, we're not going there hungry. And today, if you do want to go to the garden center, I encourage you, go there, get some of that feeling of spring, get some potted tulips, get some potted daffodils, look at the seed racks. But before you go to purchase seeds, always have a good idea of what you need, because you can have all the greatest ambitions in the world. However, you may not need that many seeds. And for seed starting indoors, you need time and space. But as well, for a lot of plants, what I would encourage, if you want to buy some seeds today, buy things like spinach that are direct sow. You can buy some radishes and maybe look at some new heirloom varieties of that radishes, which are actually older varieties. All those direct sow things, even some of the mesclun, the lettuces, those are easy things that can be sown directly into the ground. But you purchase them now for later because sometimes you just don't know if the availability is going to be there. What do we got here? Frankie Flowers, I'd like to be beginning with seeds outside in cold frame. Which flowers and herb seeds work best? I'm hoping to do chives, zinnias, cosmos, sweet peas. So chives are the ones that are going to take the longest in terms of germination. They can go out in the cold frame. I would recommend for zinnias not to be really started in a cold frame. They can be done indoors in your home because they do like high temperatures and pretty good warm temperatures, that is. You can start zinnias right now. Cosmos, I wouldn't start your cosmos till a little bit later. I'd be doing it more so towards the end of this month, and that can be done in the cold frame. And sweet pea, very quick to germinate. You can actually even direct sow a sweet pea directly into the garden area you want, that seed. Just soak the seed, soak it in water for 24 hours. That'll soften the shell. If you do want to start it, you can start it in the cold frame, no problem as well. So there you go. Herbs are very easy. Many herbs out there are fairly quick to germinate. Outside of the easiest herbs are parsley. Basil's fairly easy, but it's a cold sensitive one. Ones that take a little bit longer to grow and better grown from cuttings are rosemary should be grown from a cutting. And even many of your mints should all be done by cuttings. They're easy. Oregano as well can be done by cutting and or seed. So there's some different things. Matthew has asked me how was my birthday. Matthew, thanks for asking. My birthday was great. Heather is saying good morning to everybody out there as well. Here we go. Here's another question that we have. What is your experience with solar rodent repellent units? Are there some better than others? So this is from Mel Fry. So those solar units are, I think they're triggered. What you're talking about are those units that when an animal and or a rodent comes into the property, that a sensor will trigger that light and or sometimes even a sprinkler, and or it's based on sound. So there are some sound ones that will put a sound wave out. Those work fairly well for mice and rats and things like that. Not so well for other things like bunnies. They wouldn't do it for bunnies because it's a different kind of way that you're keeping them away. I've had them with success and where they've been used in a garage. So you plug them into your garage and that sound wave keeps a lot of the mice away and or at bay. Best thing to do is to look at some different referrals and or reviews that you see online when you're going to purchase. And you can see those, they're available at Home Depot. They're available at your Canadian Tires, at your Lowe's. They're available pretty much anywhere plants are sold out there. Okay, so we also have their replying to there should be the best by date on the back of the seed package. Yeah, there is. So seed packages should actually, let me take a look here. I'm just going to slide over here. Do I have any seed packages? Oh, sorry for disappearing there. So I do. I have a yellow crooked nest squash package that's here. This one here, if we look at the package itself, showing that it is an organic seed, but it's USDA organic. That makes a big difference. Canadian certified organic is a way different method of certification. This is a seed of change. This one here does have sell by 12 of 1221. This is a pack that I've had sitting around. So this one here was last year's package, and it needed to be sold. It was for sale in 2021, but it needed to be sold by the end of December. Will the seeds in here still be viable? They can be viable, and you can do a float test. So in that float test, you actually put the seeds in a cup and or a mason jar of water. And for those seeds that float to the top, those are the ones that are not viable. The ones, what is it? The ones that float to the top. Let me I gotta check this because I'm working off memory. Floating seed test. Just going to do this really quick. Floating seed in water, good to blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. The ones that sink are still viable. The ones that float are dead. So there you go. So the floating seed test, once again, the ones that sink are viable. The ones that float are dead. There you go. So we just got to verify. Sometimes you get mixed up in your mind. And I got to tell you, it was my birthday weekend. So did I have some fun this weekend? Yes. Am I a little foggy today? Maybe a little bit foggy. So that's what I'm just going to check out. Oh, here's a question. What about skunks? Okay. Skunks, if you're finding skunks on your property, generally, and you're usually finding skunks, and this is in spring, once the snow all melts, you're going to maybe see that there was moles making tracks in through your lawn, and or if you start to see skunks coming up and digging into your lawn, that is a sign that you have grubs. Grubs are the larvae stage of a June beetle and or Japanese beetle, and the larvae stage is a real good protein source for things like moles and things like skunks and things like raccoons. So in order to prevent that, we need to start to diminish or reduce the population of grubs that we have on our property. And how we can do that is in season when things are growing, we can apply something that's called Grub Begone. Grub Begone is a Bacillus thuringiensis. It's a fantastic product that's not harmful to your dog, to your pets. What it does do is infect the grubs and kills the grubs overall. Thank you for always helping. Are are box elder bugs harmful? Every few years I'm invaded, but in mulch or rocks, etc., looking for the heat. The box elder bug doesn't do a significant amount of damage on your plants. However, it is something that's not appealing. They sometimes can even make their way into homes. If they ever do make their way into homes, what you should be doing at that time is to just vacuum them. The box elder bug actually does do some damage to elderberries that are out there as well. Here we go. This is when should I trim my Bobo hydrangea? Well, the good news about a Bobo hydrangea is that it blooms on new wood. That Bobo hydrangea is a smaller variety of hydrangea. And because it blooms on new wood, you can prune it either last fall, you can prune it this spring, you can prune it even if you wanted to be outside today, you can prune it because it's the new growth that's going to put the blooms that are out there. I often encourage people to prune some of those hydrangeas that bloom on new wood, like Bobo, Limelights, Incredible, Annabella, PG. I usually encourage you pruning those in late fall because sometimes those blooms that sit on top of that plant, they're snow catchers. And when they catch that snow, they can bend down the branches and snap and break them. But the Bobo hydrangea, once again, can be pruned. Here we go. Here's another question here. This year, we need to resod the backyard due to the damage from our lovely puppy. When is the best time or how early can we do that in berry? So it's when the availability of sod's going to happen. So that's usually going to be about the end of April to the beginning of May. And that all depends. It can be a little bit earlier, depending upon how warm, how quick we get. And then also for the sod farmers, they got to wait for number one, the sod to green a little bit. And then number two, it usually is fairly green right off the bat. They just need the fields to dry a little bit so they can get out there without doing damage and start to harvest the sod. As soon as our ground frost is gone, that's when you can even lay sod down. For seeding, if you're thinking about seeding your lawn, we need the ground temperature of the soil to be at least above 15 degrees. So for seeding your lawn, you're thinking more the middle of May. But for sodding, you can go way earlier because we don't need germinated seeds already there. Good morning from Stratford, Ontario as well. That's from Lois. Good morning to you. I have a pot of spring bulbs. Here we go from Nancy White. I'll pop this up. I have a pot of spring bulbs that did not have a cold period. The bulbs that have green growth, will they bloom? So if they didn't go into their plunge period, it's all about them having that rest, but they've already started to sprout. They should. But the most important thing would have been is that when they were grown last year, the leaves, the foliage that was there, have enough time on that bulb to put energy into the bulb to make it have enough energy for a bloom. But it's putting green growth out, so it did sprout. And generally, if it didn't go through its dormancy period, it wouldn't have sprouted at all. So that's a good indication. Pretty good chance that it will bloom as well. Oh, here we go. This is a question too. Mel Fry, tip for canine burn is water after they pee. So this is what they're talking about is your dog goes out into the property, and generally it's a female dog, and that dog, when it's on the lawn, pees, and when it pees on the lawn, it puts a burn mark in the lawn because the canine dog pee is dog urine is really high acidity. And because it is high acidity, that's what burns the lawn. You can talk to your veterinarian or even do some research, and you'll see there are different supplements of food that can reduce the acidity in their urine, so not as bad of a burn spot. As well, what you'll see is there's a lot of spot repairs that are available. You can even see one by Scott's. Scott's has a spot repair as well. And that spot repair, there's one with dogs specifically because it does have a horticultural lime within there that neutralizes that acidity. So washing them down will disperse the amount of acidity that's there. But if you do have those burn marks, to correct those burn marks, you do have to put something with a little bit of horticultural lime, and that lime will neutralize the acidity for you. Happy birthday weekend from Berks Falls. Thank you very much, Brenda. Here's another question. I think I saw buds on my neighbor's bush and trees. It's coming. Yay. That's from Heather. Yes, indeed. It is coming. Spring is like Christmas for so many of us because it's that time of the year where we can get out there and actually see all the little things that we've done. I'm excited this year because last fall I planted a bunch of daffodils in my backyard. I'm excited to see them come up and grow. However, I've been seeing a squirrel that's been running back and forth on top of the fence. That squirrel should leave alone the narcissi, the daffodil bulbs, because they're poisonous to him. But that squirrel, my neighbors have some oak. So it's been taking the acorns and I know that squirrel has been jumping around to other yards and burying acorns. So will I have daffodils and or acorns popping up? I don't know. Here we go. Here's another question. Can I prune my Rose of Sharon right now? It has old buds on it. Rose of Sharon blooms later season. So Rose of Sharon can be pruned in spring and or early spring, or even right now because it's fairly dormant. So if you have some time today and you want to be outdoors and you want to be active, you can go ahead, Marlene, and prune your Rose of Sharon with no harm to the plant. And it would be a nice day to go do that, get some things getting ready as well. So this is a question for Jessica. They eat my bean plants. Those shiny beetles, I think was the question that she said. Oh, that's CJ for now. But there's a question up here that says, those shiny beetles, what works? So the shiny beetles are, just as we were saying, are the adult stage of a grub. There are beetle traps that are available. So what you can do is you can get a beetle trap that has pheromones in it. And what that means, it actually has an attractant, almost like a cologne, that they'll be attracted to the trap. They'll fly into the trap, they'll get caught, and then you can actually just discard them. The key is when you're using pheromone traps, you want to place them away from the area that's being infected. Because if you put it near the area, you'll just attract more beetles to that area. The other aspect is to monitor your lawn to see if you have any grubs. And grubs are kind of, you dig down into your lawn or you're digging even into your garden soil in your garden, and you see something that appears to be almost like a creamy, almost white, fleshy, worm-like creature that has a brownish to gold head, that is a grub. And then you can use Grub Begone to get rid of that. There's also floating row covers that you can use as well. And a floating row cover is just a bed sheet that you can put over plants to typically get infected. So when your beans are a little bit younger, you can put that over. And that will just prevent those shiny beetles, those June beetles, from landing on that plant. Dorothy's saying hello to you as well, and good morning. So I wanted to share some stuff too. I'm going to share a screen with you guys here. So last week, what we talked about was a little bit of online learning with the Royal Botanical Gardens. This week, what I really want to showcase and show you as well is that there is a lot of different resources from many different botanical gardens. This is the Toronto Botanical Gardens, which is offering a whole bunch of different online learning courses as well as in-person learning courses. There's a lecture series on the engineer's approach to plant house plant care. That's my good friend Daryl there, and that Daryl is the author of the Plant Parenthood. But you can see that there's lots of different things that you can get excited about spring. Say on Thursday, March 24th, we could go do some things on planter design. We can find out living in the wild. So there's a lot of different resources that are out there as well. I also want to showcase, if you're thinking about getting into the world of horticulture, Humber is a great place where you can find out a little bit more about horticultural sciences. And there's a lot of jobs that are out there. And if you are in the landscape and or lawn maintenance industry and you're looking to up your game, go to Landscape Ontario's website and look at some of their online learning seminars. Everything from landscape construction drawings to understand the not so common perennial out there to even common perennials and new bugs and diseases. So there's a whole bunch of different information that you can do out there to learn and to find out how to become better, not only better at your job, but better at many things that are out there. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen there. So just take a check at some of those things that are out there as well. Here we go. Got somebody saying, Julie, morning from Cozumel. Morning. Next week, by the way, I'm going to do the travel thing. I'm going to be away next week, starting on Thursday. I hope next Sunday to be able to have a strong enough Wi-Fi to do this in my destination, but I may not be here next Sunday. I'm actually traveling with my boys. So just to let you know that as well. So I'm going to go take a little vacation with the boys. Happy 50th, Frankie. You saw the shout out for you at the Colts game the other night. Thanks, David. That was my friend David Hudson, that put me on the Jumbotron there. And my good friends, Mike Beeman, Paul Franks, my other friend, Craig McGregor, couldn't be there. These are all, I'll tell you, my close group of friends are guys that I played minor hockey with. And we've actually been friends for 40 years. It's pretty cool when you kind of think about that. Here we go is maybe a suggestion and or a question. I usually hose down the grass after my female dog goes to the bathroom. Do you think it helps the grass? Our small townhouse backyard is facing north with a ripe maple tree. Cannot get grass to grow. Thank you. Love following you online and on TV. That's from Pam. So there's a couple things. Your house facing north, you're not getting a ton of sun. You have a maple tree also shading the backyard. With that, that maple tree is probably taking a lot of moisture and or nutrients from the lawn itself. The dog that goes back there washing the pee away is not going to be a harm to the lawn, but the dog being out there and you being out there creates compaction. So some of those smaller areas, maybe a lawn is not the best decision. That's sometimes where you have to make a decision whether you may even want to put a section of artificial turf in and then do a little bit of garden area with some nice mulch beds that are around. That will give an area where the dog can still go to the bathroom, but there might be a way that we can design that space a little bit better. So Pam, Frankie at frankieflowers.com, let's take a look at what the backyard looks like and see if there's something that we can come up with as a solution for that. Because you're always not going to have a great lawn because of the maple tree and because facing north. You could actually think about mixing some lawn seed with white clover. That will still give a green, nice backyard. It'll look green. It'll be soft for the dog, soft for you, but it won't be that perfect looking lawn that you'll have. Good morning from Perry Sound. Good morning from Scarborough. Here we go. We have another one this is Jessica. Growing strong vegetables inside. What is the key to having their sticks strong for planting outside? So when you are growing things like tomatoes and peppers and many different plants indoors, you'll notice that the stems are not as strong as the stems that you see at a greenhouse or when they're grown by somebody that has a little bit more experience in growing. Often when you have really weak stems, it can be due to a couple reasons. One is just not enough adequate light. So if there's not enough light, and let's say that it's a room that has only light to one side, you'll always see that plant try to stretch itself towards that light. Too hot. If it's too hot in the room's continually hot, and we don't have a cooler evening temperature, that plant will stretch. Too much water, you'll stretch that plant as well. The key is really where we can grow and grow slow. So what we're trying to do is to give it nice, even light. So a room that's bright, not directly in front of a room window, but nice, even bright light throughout the day. It's a room that at night gets a little bit cooler. And then as well, you're using water to allow a little bit of that plant to dry out in between waterings. That's going to create your stronger stem, especially on tomato plants that are there. Good morning from Montreal. Good morning, Montreal. Rick, I hope you're enjoying your time in Montreal. What a beautiful city that is as well. Paula Polly, good morning. Enjoying your weekend with your sons. My sons were with me till Friday. So today I'm just kind of hanging out and getting caught up. So we had some really good questions out there. There's Dave. I think we already showed this one. Happy 50th. Shout out to that. We did see that one there. Just going back up. Oh, this is another question here. Melanie White, can't see closed captioning on your video. Can you please find a way to add that for the future, please? I will try to find that for you in the future too. I got to figure out how to do that. I know that Facebook can do that too. But thanks. Anytime you guys have any tips to improve this, please let me know. Hello, Frankie. I just bought a pitcher plant. Yes. What would that help with fungus gnats? So a pitcher plant is a plant where insects will fly into the pitcher and then they can't get back out of the pitcher. Fungus gnats, I just did a whole little thing on fungus gnats. If you look at my Facebook page, fungus gnats, they're really important to use a yellow sticky strip that's there. That will really help you with trapping the adult fungus gnats. Allowing the soil to dry out in between is really important because they like a moist soil. So the drier the soil, the better it is to reduce that. Removing any decay from the bottom of the plants is really important. And then dusting a little bit of cinnamon on the top really, really does work out. The pitcher plant won't really catch that many fungus gnats and won't really help with fungus gnats. It's more better for things like cluster flies and things like that. Good question though. Here we go is another question. Jessica has lots of questions today. I love it. Good morning from Island Grove. How do I keep rabbits and squirrels away from eating my sunflowers? So rabbits, of course, don't like owls. So you'll sometimes see that you'll put these different things up to discourage animals from coming around. So getting an owl decoy and moving it around the garden space will also scare away things like squirrels and rabbits. Rabbits as well, you can put a barrier around the base of that sunflower to prevent them from coming and chewing the sunflower. The squirrels, sometimes if you can't beat them, you feed them. So you put a squirrel feeder on the far end of the property and they'll leave your sunflowers alone. Here we go. There's another question here. When should I fertilize my tomato and pepper seedlings? This is from Karen. So Karen, you're really not starting to fertilize any of those until we're at least getting into a 5-leaf stage. And then you just want to do a weak solution of fertilizer. So you can use a water soluble Miracle Grow fertilizer, but just put it to half strength. And then once that plant starts to develop into a nice looking transplant where you've already thinned it out, because you're going to have to thin your transplants out, that's when you can start to increase your fertilization. Now that our days are getting longer, i.e., your indoor plants are actually growing as well. So this is also a good recommendation to start fertilizing your indoor plants now, because now that days are growing longer and we're getting good, adequate sunshine and longer days of sunshine, plants are now actively growing, and it is indeed the time to fertilize. Here we go. Bunnies ate the bark of my burning bush. Can I prune it now? You can. So it's better off to get out there and try to prune off any of those jagged cuts and try to clean it up. To prevent that in the future, you can use Animal Be Gone on the bark, because it'll leave a taste of bitrix on there, and which should prevent some of the rabbits from doing that. I'm going to expect today that if many of us, we get enough snow that melts and we go and walk our properties, we're going to see a lot of rabbit damage out there. It's going to be bad, as they say. Klein Niagara on the Lake has Japanese knotweed coming through from the neighbor's property. What is the permanent solution to remove it from my client's property? This is from Janet. So you could put a barrier in between the two properties, so you could actually dig down and put in wood and or something that's going to be a barrier, but still that knotweed's going to come through. You got to continually attack it and reduce it. A significant amount of mulch in that area where it's coming from will reduce the amount, but as soon as it starts to pop through, there is no permanent solution. If it is on the other side, that knotweed will always try to find a way to come to other territory. It's an invasive plant. The key is for you to minimize and eradicate it on your property, and for the person in behind to get rid of it as well. You can do any barrier, anything like that, but with the knotweed, I've seen it even go over, through a fence, underground. It's the reason why they call it a knotweed. So mulching is probably your best solution to reduce the harm from that, but it's going to be continual work, which means if it's a client of yours, you're always going to have something to do. Here's a question as well. How often should I water my Zizi plant from Shelburne? Love you on BT, Deanna. Thank you very much. It really depends on your home. The Zizi plant only needs to be watered when it's dry, and can go, because it has those kind of like larger kind of, if you look at the Zizi plant at the bottom, has almost like looks like tubers that are there. Those are water storaging facilities. So you can water it probably once every other week. Once a week is probably the most that you want to do it, but once every other week or twice a month is what you'd be watering that. But the other thing that depends on is how big the Zizi plant is, how big the pot is. The smaller the pot, the more often it could need to be watered. How bright of a room is it in? If it's a fairly bright room that has a lot of airflow, then it'll dry out a little bit faster. So everybody's plants will dry out differently based upon the environment that they're put in and based upon the size of the plant. This is another question that we have here as well from Joyce. Just wondering, I'm preparing to start seeds indoors using commercial soil. I'm afraid of gnats getting into my house again. Should I bake the soil? Can I bake the soil that has perlite added? You mentioned cinnamon. Should I use that in the beginning? So don't use it in the beginning, because we want your seedlings to germinate. If you're using purchased soil, it should already be sterilized. So that soil itself should already be sterilized, especially if it is a potting soil with a perlite. You don't need to cook the soil again. Really watch your watering. That's the real key, is to watch your watering. The thing is with seedlings, sometimes fungus gnats get in there because you are keeping them moist. But if you use the little greenhouse domes over the top, the plastic domes, you should be okay. But once that plant gets to at least a 5-leaf stage, then you can dust a little bit of cinnamon down for that as well. So there you go. Yeah, so I'm going to answer one more question. Ashley Brown, happy birthday. Any advice on pink dandelions? I got seeds, but worried they'll be super invasive. I'm not really familiar. I'm actually just going to look up pink dandelions. Dandelion. Huh. Wow, this is from an heirloom seed. Actually, we're going to pull this up right now. I'm going to throw this on your screen so everybody can see this as well, because I'm just looking at it, but I will pull it up on my screen as well for you to take a look at. Share. So the pink dandelion, darling little wildflower from Central Asia. Pink dandelion is much less prolific relative to the common yellow dandelion. 1-2 inch blooms, blah, blah, blah. Butterflies, bees, and pollinators. Frost hardy, it says yes, adapts to most areas, but it's best in a location that receives morning sun. I'm not completely familiar with this, and it'd be interesting to know if it's actually going to. It looks like a regular chicorée, which is a dandelion as well when I look at it. Is it invasive? I would just plant it if you really want to. If you're seeding it, seed it in the ground, but seed it in a pot in the ground. And let's just see how this grows, because if it's in a pot, we can contain its root system. Once again, dandelions are a taproot. Because they are a taproot, that's how they survive. And we'll see if this overwinters, and that's going to be the key. Will it overwinter? That's the question that I have. And we'll have to see from there. But that's a little bit about the pink dandelion. Didn't even know. So you can't know everything about the world of gardening because there's just too much to know. Hey, so what's going on? I don't know. But what am I saying? I'm trying to be funny there. I was trying to think. You can tell I'm a little foggy today. What I'll say to you is that I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. I hope that you get outside today and enjoy some of the beautiful sunshine as well. With that, I hope you continue to smile in sunshine. And I always want to say to you that gardening is always better than therapy, because in the end of the day, you get tomatoes. And as my birthday wish, if you want to know what my birthday wish was for this year, my birthday wish this year was just for some more kindness. So if you can this year, this weekend, this week, this day, be a little bit more kind to maybe a friend, a family member, or whatnot, that would be a real treat for me. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all. It was great to being here today on this day. Get out there and enjoy the weather, enjoy the sunshine, and we'll talk.